tier list.
Get out of the thing, bro. I got
we
tier
doing
list to do.
we doing the tier list.
I'm ripping up your Lunalite cards.
What are the top rogue Yu-Gi-Oh decks? Today, big dogs, we're going to be going over all of the new strategies that have topped over the weekend, really interesting, as well as talking about the new strategies from Phantom Revenge. Are they really getting revenge? We'll not only be discussing these strategies, but some other favorites and talk about if you should play them and why. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Rogue tier list. We are going to be rating the most powerful rogue decks in the game post Phantom's Revenge. And in case you guys need a little bit of a refresher, statistically the best decks in the game are Yummy, Dracotel, K9, Malice, and of course, Goonerlight. So no, TJ, Goonerlight is not on this list. Sit down, be humble. And as your current resident rogue enthusiast, we're going to be rating these decks not only on how powerful they are, how well can they match against some of the top decks, but also how stronger they are against some of the popular cards used. My personal tidbit, I think that board breakers are a little bit more important in this format than ever before, because not only do we have the reemergence of K9, which punishes hand traps, some Yu-Gi-Oh strategies like Dracotel and Yummy completely eat hand traps for breakfast. So with all that to be in mind, let's go ahead and start off with Malice. You Gooners are eating good today. Malice actually is a solid strategy in my opinion. A Yu-Gi-Oh deck that doesn't need to be able to rely on hand traps to be able to break your opponent's board. It's naturally a great board breaking deck, and the new Typhoon cards allow the deck to get deeper into its combo with the spell card that allows you to draw 2 cards and discard a quick play. Kaiju cards are also becoming a lot more important in this Yu-Gi-Oh meta, and seeing that this deck can search Hamp, it can easily out cards like Allied Code Talker and of course Goonerlight Liger Dancer. Yeah, I'm gonna have that card twerk all the way to the Shadow Realm. I think that Sky Strikers are a solid choice. Also, ironically, Odeon has an upgraded status. It's been doing decently well. I think one of the better things about Odeon is that not only are the continuous trap cards are really strong cards right now, so strong that players are teching them, this is also a strategy that can play just about all of the Dominus cards. I think that the upgrade is good enough to warrant this as a solid choice Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's actually been topping more and more regional level events. It's a really solid strategy into the format because trap cards are really good right now. Now on to the first strategy from Phantom Revenge, Hekah hands. Listen here, big dog. If you think that this deck is bad, you might have to go ahead and get these Hekah hands from your boy, because you're right, we're all coping. A lot of players see Hekah hands as a revitalization for the Chimera strategy, one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh decks in the modern era. But unfortunately, the Hekah hands don't really do anything except for provide more complications to the deck. In fact, Hekah hands don't make Chimera Hekah consistent, it kind of does the opposite. It makes you more reliant on normal summon Mirror Sword Knight, which means if that gets stopped, you're really passing your turn. Look guys, I know that it just came out and it has a lot more potential, but for right now, I would put it in 100% copium. The Hekah hand strategies are monsters that rely on your opponent's cards to be able to pop off. When has that ever been a good strategy? Now this Kashtira Fenrir isn't just representative of Kashtiras, it's representative of Psychics. Psychics just received support in Master Duel to make them a pretty strong Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and players are wondering if that translates over to the TCG. Well, I personally think that the deck is stronger than it is in Master Duel, simply because you have more copies of Kashtira Fenrir and Unicorn, giving the deck a better grind game, but at the same time, it has not proven itself at any event, probably ever. I think that Psychics is in the needs help department, and the biggest reason why I put it in needs help, because the deck is too fair. Why the hell did you do that, Konami? I think Labyrinth right now is in a really interesting spot because it did lose a lot of floodgates, but I still think it is a crazy strong Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And with our resident Labyrinth player topping with the deck, I think it's a strategy that could be pilot dependent. Shout out the guy. I don't know, maybe it's the honor in me, but Floodgate Labyrinth never really felt like the way to play. We must establish dominance over our opponents by using non-floodgates and letting them know that we the boss. But I ain't gonna lie, Eradicator Epidemic Virus is a nice card. I might use it too. Salamangreat has really cool things about it, but overall this deck is not really a great going second deck, and board breakers don't really help the situation. Unfortunately, I'm gonna put it in Kopi. And Anacraft actually does have some potential. Now hear me out, guys. You're gonna look at me crazy when I explain this deck. Anacraft is a pendulum Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that are flip effects that revolve around counters. Yeah, that sounds trash, doesn't it? At first sight, you can think that Anacraft or Fake Cleaforts are even just as bad as Valance. But to be honest, this strategy has more going for it. Like, pretty much an FTK. I'm actually gonna reach out and put it in pilot dependent. What's really been disappointing for water players is that Mermell hasn't received any hits whatsoever outside of the banning of Totally Awesome. But that hit pretty much was the straw to break the camel's back, which, what does that even mean? What does the straw to break the camel's back really mean? I've never seen a camel in real life, so maybe you guys can answer that. I would put Mermell in pilot dependent. I don't think it's a bad deck. I think it's a great board breaking style going second Yu-Gi-Oh strategy, something that we do need, but I also think that there's better going second board breaker style Yu-Gi-Oh strategies. Now, I did talk about Chimera when I mentioned Hekah hands, and that's probably one of the best ways to play Hekah hands. But Hekah hands in Copium is indicative of Hekah hands as a pure Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Don't do it. Chimera Hekah hands has all of those problems I just told you, but it is better than regular Hekah hands. This is a new strategy, so I think somewhere down the future, we will receive some illusion of support that actually bridges Hekah hands with Chimera seamlessly. Gem Knight, in my opinion, sits at the pinnacle of rogue Yu-Gi-Oh decks. 1000% can challenge. I know it has at least one YCS top. It has quite a few regional accomplishments. This deck is really, really good. And while Unchained doesn't have all of the accolades that you would want on its belt, it still has a decent amount. I would put it in pilot dependent. The only thing that really holds Unchained back is Molchummy Flawless, but this is also a really good going second deck. It's also a strategy that thrives when being destroyed by card effects, something that Lunalight just can't stop doing. Exodia is 1000% copium, guys. Don't do it. I don't even know if Secret Village of the Spellcasters is unbanned, but it doesn't matter. This deck's I'm sorry, Grandpa Moto. I'm just keeping it real.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards.
I think Archmage is in a really weird spot. I'm gonna put it in needs help. It's not that Archmage is bad. It's that Archmage feels behind. For being a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that was recently supported and came out in Duelist Advance, it doesn't feel like it has all of the tools to be that Yu-Gi-Oh strategy. But I think maybe, I don't know, in a set or two, it might actually be a strong, powerful strategy, especially when you combine it with the upcoming ban list. Do not sleep on this deck. Oh, also, why I have your attention? You know what time it is. Raven Wing is easily the number 0 sleeve in the entire universe. I use 0 because people say they did 1. Well, this is the 0. It's above it. If you guys want to cop the life-saving, game-changing, woman-getting sleeve in the universe, then go ahead and go to TheCaliEffect.com. We got people literally in the comment section saying this is the type of protection that got them they girl and kept them they girl. Go ahead and get your sleeves today. We also even have standard size. Now, Dabel Star stands for Azamina, no white force. Yeah, there was actually an Azamina Yu-Gi-Oh deck that topped with no white force cards, and I think it's insane. It's pretty much a spell trap based Yu-Gi-Oh deck that uses hollowed Azamina to be able to summon the powerful fusion monsters and doesn't have the restrictions of the white forest cards, which means you can use your cards for extra space for your other great cards. I genuinely think that I should make a video talking about some really crazy decks that topped over the weekend, so if that's something that you guys want to see, go ahead and let me know. It would be really, really fun because so many exciting decks topped. I'm gonna go ahead and give this deck the benefit of the doubt and put it in pilot dependent. Radiant Typhoon, it is your time to shine, my boy. Yo, dog, I was wrong. As an engine, insane. As a deck, Radiant Typhoon is starting to take Yu-Gi-Oh by storm. And while I want to put it in a pilot dependent, I'm going to give it a little more credit than it probably deserves right now. I think that there's so much potential for a Yu-Gi-Oh deck that can slam level 3 monsters to the side of the field without wasting any resources. It's strong. Fire King hasn't been as prevalent as before, but I still think it's a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Anytime that you can destroy the entire field before your opponent can make a move is really strong against some of the best decks, and Fire King does that better than anybody else. The problem with this deck has always been consistency though. I also think that White Forest is a more established version of Azamina, so I'm gonna put it in solid choice with its only weakness, pretty much Droll and Lockbird. Oh, and sometimes going second when your opponent knows how to stop you. Cool Tune is a new Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that immediately has to go on the rogue simply because we do not have the data. Also because in the OCG it didn't do so well. But keep in mind, they have cards like Maxi. We don't. I think that a synchro deck that doesn't need non-tuners and tuners to be able to synchro summon is crazy. I think a synchro deck that can synchro summon with tuners in your hand, meaning that extra copies of Ash Blossom, Ghost Bell, and Effect Veiler are free fodder, is even more insane. I'm gonna put it in the Kin Challenge, and to be honest with you, this might be really low for this deck. It might be the next top meta deck. DDD, Dose King, Machinex, Deviser of Hidden Realms and Forbidden Black Holes. I swear to God, every single time I say this card, I feel like I'm an 11-year-old making a new name for my superhero. I think DDD is a fun Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but unfortunately, I don't think it's a really powerful Yu-Gi-Oh deck. So far, this deck doesn't have many accomplishments. And while I personally think that it's a really fun and crazy good strategy, I think the biggest problem with DDD is that it's way too hard to play. And the other strategies up here, they're easier to play with similar results. Now, Branded 100% sits in the pilot dependent. When the new support comes out, I think that will change. And Goblin Bikers are 1000% copium, my brother. Just give it up. Moon is banned. Centurion also goes into just straight coping, my brother. What are we doing here? This deck cannot go second. Like, it just can't. It doesn't matter how much hope, cope, and dope you are smoking and sniffing one. Unfortunately, Centurion has a really big problem in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, and that big problem is every other Yu-Gi-Oh deck does 50 million things, and Centurion has a hard time keeping up. I think Needs Help is probably closer to where it is, but it's kind of DOA right now. Mementos have been topping regionals like crazy and is one of the most respected decks in the game. I think Orcus is also a solid choice Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Doomsday is still straight up copium. Do not play this deck. You're going crazy. Like the worst deck I've ever seen, brother. Like, come on. Doomsday looks like what Anacraft looks like, dog. It's an XE deck, which is good, but it relies on equipped spells. When you hear stuff like that, you throw the whole deck away. Argo Stars did win a regional. It was really a K9 deck though. I think that Argo Stars overall as a strategy needs help. I can't justify one regional win with a K9, huge K9 engine as a, I don't want to say legitimate because it is a legitimate Argo Star deck, but it just doesn't seem like he won because of Argo Stars, if you get what I'm saying. And RB has been popping up and down. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the pilot dependent. Though I think that both of these strategies could probably share that pilot dependent. I just need a little bit more data for Argo Stars. And that's all that I have for the Rogue tier list. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, if you guys disagree with any of the strategies, go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. And also, if you thought I forgot a strategy, let me know too so I can include it in the next tier list. As I always say, make sure you go into TheCaliEffect.com to get your Raven Wing sleeves, and also be sure to check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.